What's up, everybody? It's your boy, your favorite villain, and I'm back here with the first battle of our swordsman tournament. I made a previous video on the rules of this tournament. I'll briefly go over them before we start, but basically stats are equalized, strength, speed, all that, so that no one has a physical overwhelming advantage over the other, as well as they won't be allowed to use powers or abilities. This is essentially both characters showing up with their swords and proving who is the superior swordsman in a fight. Also, lightsabers won't be able to cut through regular swords. That the AP will be equalized. I'm just not changing the weapons because it might be hard for them to fight with a new weapon. But anyways, today's matchup includes General Grievous, the commander of the Separatists from Star Wars, versus Killer B, the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails from Naruto and the legendary swordsman. So who would win if these two clashed as swordsmen? We're going to go over both and then decide who is the winner and who moves on. First, I will go over General Grievous. Now, General Grievous was previously a warlord on his planet before him and his people were destroyed by Sidious in secret. However, Sidious planned it, as well as along with Dooku, in order for it to appear to be the Republic and the Jedi's fault, in order to brainwash Grievous into joining them. Grievous did, and when he joined, because his body was so destroyed in the attack, he was given a cybernetic body. Barely has any of his alien remains. Mostly you can see his heart and his yellow eyes. That's basically what remains of his past life. But besides that, he's physically new and became one of the most celebrated duelists in Star Wars. Now, I will be taking from Legends and Disney canon just so we get the comprehensive view of him as a swordsman. He can use either 2 to 4 arms at a time. It depends on who he's fighting and the way he wants to fight. Because of Count Dooku, he has studied in all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. Everything from Shicho, the basic first form, which goes over basic motions, all the way to Juyo, the aggressive form. When he fights, he typically is the aggressor in the fight. He's a very aggressive swordsman. He can even spin all 4 blades at a fast rotation to psychologically affect his opponent. Now, a lot of people don't know that. They think that is just him trying to physically overwhelm his Jedi opponents. That's not necessarily true. What he's also trying to do is psychologically torment them in fights so that they are less inclined to use the Force offensively on them. Rather, they're busy using it on their precog and physical augmentation in order to combat his physicality and his ability as a swordsman. So he tries to take away your biggest advantage over him and neutralize it. Now, he has killed several Jedi over the years. He was considered so dangerous that they had to send Kenobi, because Kenobi was the ultimate defensive duelist and was the one to eventually bring down Grievous. But it is noteworthy noting he didn't defeat Grievous completely in a duel. He was besting him, and I'm not implying Grievous is his superior, but it didn't end in a straight up duel. He was actually defeated via blaster bolt to the heart. Like I said, he used 2 to 4 lightsabers. He's not particularly affected if 1 or 2 arms are compromised. He keeps going, doesn't care. He's shown this not only against Kenobi, but he showed this steadiness against Kit, Fisto, and Darth Maul in the comics. When he loses his arm, it doesn't phase him, most likely due to the pain not really being there. And he continues to fight as a duelist, as well as he has, due to his brain, the ability. It's not an ability, but it's just something natural to him, where if he's fighting you long enough, he can understand your style and eventually adopt it into his own, or make it even more dangerous. When Mace Windu dueled him, he noticed Grievous was starting to pick up on his movements and adapting and changing. That's a part of Grievous's brain, his mentality, so I can't really take it away from him. I don't even know if he could function without his normal brain process. But if a duel drags on, he can eventually learn what you're doing and counter. This doesn't always mean it'll work, however. He could have had the chance to counter Kenobi, but Kenobi's a defensive style. Grievous is not a defensive fighter. He tends to go towards more offensive-based fighting motions. Lots of slashes, cuts, deceptive movements. That is the basis of Grievous' style. Overall, he's a very dangerous duelist, very unique in the fact that he can use one arm all the way to four arms and fight just as fluid with all. And yeah, that is one character in this fight. The other is Killer Bee. Now, Killer Bee perhaps might be the most aesthetically pleasing fighter in the tournament. If you've seen Naruto Shippuden, one of the coolest moments was when Bee pulled out his 7-sword style. These swords have lightning-based abilities. He eventually does switch weapons when he gains Samahata in his confrontation with Kisame. However, he will not be using Samahata in this one. His more impressive style, to me, and his best chance of progressing in the tournament is with his 7 swords. Now, with these 7 swords, his style is very acrobatic. I believe it's actually called the acrobat style, in which he basically turns himself into a human revolving, slashing death machine. We saw this debut against Sasuke when Sasuke in his Taka group was trying to bring in Killer Bee. Sasuke himself was no slouch as a swordsman. In fact, when he went to the 5 Kage Summit, the samurai there, who are lifelong swordsmen, spoke on how Sasuke's swordsman abilities were almost exactly like theirs, but he was physically superior, was completely destroying them. But yeah, his swordsman ability has been commented on by samurai as being very impressive, and Bee washed him in the duel. You could argue this was speed, but we also know Sasuke wasn't able to keep up with the unpredictable movement, and this is perhaps what makes Bee very dangerous, is that the 7 sword style is awkward, unconventional, but deadly due to its unpredictability. He could somersault, spin, he tosses swords in the air, dances while he doesn't have a few of them, while slashing you with his others, and he's basically capable of performing 6 to 7 movements rapidly, fluidly, with 7 different weapons. So you're basically fighting 7 people at one time when you run into Bee. And we've never actually seen Bee lose a sword fight, although to be fair, it's not like he's exactly engaging in a bunch, but it is very clear he is a very skilled swordsman and one of the most intriguing swordsman prospects in the tournament. So when Killer Bee and Grievous match up, how do I see it going down? The two would clash. It would be an interesting fight because both are extremely aggressive. Neither will shy away from an aggressive duel. While Bee would initially try to blitz, Grievous would be able to hold him off. The movements, I don't believe, would really overwhelm Grievous. In fact, we've seen him casually fight multiple Jedi at one time, each one using different styles. For example, Kiarimundi does not use the same sword technique as Shak T, who uses stuff like Makashi, which is like a fencing style. Definitely not the style of someone like Kiarimundi. And he was able to fight all these Jedis and thrash them. He was perfectly fine. He's fought Mace Windu before, who's mastered all lightsaber forms and created his own variant of the lightsaber form. So Grievous is not going to be overwhelmed by multiple types of movements. What I see eventually happening is, while Bee may be able to take one arm, I think he could get one with a weird movement. The way Grievous can spin his blades, alter his style based on who he's fighting, and attack just as aggressively, I think this would tear apart Killer Bee. I'm not going to lie to you. The fact is, Bee's never really fought or shown he's fought against a swordsman as talented as him, his physical equal, because when he fought Sasuke, they were not even close. Evidence for this, Sasuke tried to kick him as hard as he could in the neck, and it didn't even move Bee an inch. So we've just seen him physically overwhelm people. We haven't seen him actually dominate in an equalized setting, whereas we've seen Grievous hold his own and beat characters that should somewhat scale to him physically, especially someone like Mace Windu, who can fight the Emperor. So in the end, Due to his years of training, I do believe he has more training under his belt than Killer B against elite swordsmen, as Grievous' sparring partner is literally Count Dooku, who is also in this tournament. I believe Grievous would be able to survive the onslaught. He loses an arm because he will be moving on with only 3 lightsabers. But in the end, I believe he'd be able to adapt, understand the style of B. While it's unpredictable, he will understand it is movement similar to the likes of Yoda, the bouncing around, a Taru acrobatic style. That style itself is in Star Wars. Grievous would recognize it and pick him apart and slaughter B. In the end, I believe General Grievous moves on. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of the tournament so far. I will try to get the next matchup out as soon as possible, as well as a couple other videos. Please give this a like button. Please share it. Subscribe. Help get this tournament some more views, get this tournament some more amps. So maybe perhaps we could start doing more tournaments like this one for different categories. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next match. It's been your boy, your favorite villain, and I will see y'all later. Peace.